When making crocheted amigurumi toys, I see these 7 beginner mistakes over and over again. I get messages all the time from makers who are unhappy with the way their crocheted toys turn out. They put so much time and effort into creating this project only to feel terribly disappointed with the final outcome. But don't worry, after this video, you'll have the tools that you need to be able to crochet amigurumi toys that bring joy to you and to those you love. Today's sponsor is Cricut. More on that later, and make sure to pay attention to that part because there is an amazing giveaway that I don't want you to miss. First, I'm going to share all of the details of this beautiful little amigurumi doll, and then by using this project, I'm going to share all 7 of the beginner mistakes that I see and how you can fix them. A couple of these tips I've shared before in previous videos, but there is one new one that was a true light bulb moment for me that I don't want you to miss, and it's going to have such an impact on your amigurumi toys from here on out. Because March is Women's History Month, I decided that I wanted to make this beautiful Freda Colo doll. I've loved Freda Colo ever since I saw the gorgeous crocheted blanket design by Janie Crow called Freda's Flowers. Now, to be completely honest, I have never finished that project, but it sits in my little basket down there, and one of these days I may eventually get back to it, but it is one of the most spectacularly gorgeous crocheted blankets I have ever seen. The Freda Colo amigurumi pattern that I chose is by Jinan Silo Nai Myra. I hope I'm saying that right. There are many different Freda Colo patterns out there to choose from. I just happen to like this one the best. I thought it was so cute, but I also knew that this would be the perfect pattern to be able to talk about all 7 different beginner amigurumi mistakes. I used Yarn Art Jeans for this project, which is a number 2 fine weight yarn. It's 55% cotton and 45% acrylic, and I used a 2.5mm Addy Comfort Grip crochet hook. The first mistake that I see amigurumi makers making is that they aren't using the correct hook size with their yarn. For the Yarn Art Jeans, it recommends a 3.5mm crochet hook, but if I used that size crochet hook, you would see gaps in my stitches and the stuffing would show through. There's a rule when crocheting amigurumi to look at the recommended crochet hook size that's on your yarn label and then subtract 2. Now, I did this with the Yarn Art Jeans, and 3.5 minus 2 is 1.5, and that was entirely too small. So it's worth doing a little experimenting to see which crochet hook size really works best for the yarn that you have and your own personal tension. The next mistake that I see amigurumi makers making is when it comes to changing colors. I recently switched the way that I change colors, and the reason is that the traditional way of changing colors, it leaves a large color change jog. It's very noticeable. And up until recently, I was doing my amigurumi toys that way. I switched to the new way once I saw Anna from the Naughty Boss doing it this way on her Instagram account. What you do is you join the yarn at the end of that last stitch, and instead of single crocheting, you're going to slip stitch to the next stitch, and then you're going to chain 1, and then you will single crochet as normal. That chain 1 counts as your new first stitch. You don't count the slip stitch as the stitch. So as you're coming back around on the next round, you will work into that chain 1 space. And what this does is that it's just a cleaner color change jog, and I think it looks a lot neater. The next mistake I see amigurumi makers making is not experimenting with yarn over versus yarn under. Now, this is 2 ways to do the single crochet stitch, and it creates a slightly different stitch. The yarn over stitch is a little bit larger, and yarn under creates a much smaller, tighter little stitch. Now, for my Freda doll, I did yarn over, and I think that she looks beautiful. I have experimented with yarn under, and I made a whole toy. I made the Peek-a-Pow lobster, and it ended up causing a lot of pain in my wrist, but I'm really glad that I tried the technique and decided for myself that it didn't work. But I think it's a great thing for beginners to try both ways, yarn over and yarn under. This next tip is the biggest mistake that I see amigurumi beginners making all the time. So come here, come in a little bit closer. We got to talk about this one. Your yarn choice will make or break your amigurumi project. Let me say that one more time. Your yarn choice will make or break your amigurumi toy. And here's what I mean by that. When you're making a very detailed amigurumi project like little Freda here, she's got lots of different details going on. You want to use a smoother, cleaner yarn like a cotton or a cotton blend. And remember I told you that the Yarn Art Jeans is a cotton blend and it's a fine weight yarn. And you're able to see all of these details so clearly and crisply. She's got the flowers, she has her facial details, she has her beautiful shawl and her dress and her little shoes, even the little hem of her dress here. There are details galore. And by using a smooth yarn like a cotton blend, and it's a fine weight yarn, you're able to see these details very clearly. You can still use those heavier weight acrylic yarns, just use them for projects that don't have as much detail. Let me show you an example. This is from my pattern, The 3 Not So Little Pigs, and you'll find a link to my Etsy shop in the description box below if you'd like to get this pattern for yourself. But I used a number 4 weight 100% acrylic yarn for this. This is the Premier Basics, and he looks fantastic. And the reason why this pig looks so great with this budget-friendly 100% acrylic yarn is because there aren't a lot of details. He is absolutely adorable, but there are not a lot of tiny little details. He's a big guy. He has his little snout here. He's got his ears. He's got his little clothes, but there aren't a lot of teeny tiny little details because this type of yarn won't highlight those details as well. It looks great when you're working with large, simple shapes, but if I had made Freda with this exact yarn, it wouldn't look as good. The roses would look fuzzy. They wouldn't look crisp. You wouldn't see all of these details, and that's what's so important about choosing the right yarn. Before we move on to the next few mistakes, I do want to share how I made this sweet little tag here on Freda, and also to tell you about Cricut's amazing giveaway. I've always loved adding tags to my amigurumi toys. I think it adds that special personalized touch, whether I'm giving it as a gift or keeping it for myself. Like Freda, I'm keeping Freda for myself. I wanted her tag to be just as colorful and beautiful as she is. And because she's staying with me forever, I wanted to use the tag as a reference for the materials that I used. I wrote the yarn and the hook size on the back of the tag, and that way when my memory fails me and someone asks, what yarn and hook size did you use? I can easily just turn the tag over and let them know. I used my Cricut Maker 3 for this project, and what I love most about Cricut is how easy it is to use. I'm the type of person that gets easily frustrated with technology, so if I can use a Cricut, anyone can. You can make tags, greeting cards, holiday decor, handmade gifts, just to name a few. I even made little felt eyes for these amigurumi pigs using my Cricut. And if you would like to make these tags for yourself, you'll need a few items. Cardstock in the colors that you would like, or you can use the Cricut Smart Paper sticker cardstock. That's what I used for mine. And if you're using cardstock, you'll need some glue and some coordinating ribbon. I opened up the Cricut Design Space app and clicked on New Project in the upper right-hand corner. In the left-hand menu, I clicked on the Shapes icon. I scrolled to the bottom where it says Search for More. In the search bar at the top, I typed in flower and then clicked on Free in the left-hand menu. I clicked on all of the images that I liked, and then in the bottom right-hand corner, I clicked Add to Canvas. I also found a circle shape as my base for my tag, 3 different flowers, and 3 different leaf shapes. Once you're back in your project, you can make any of the shapes the size you want just by dragging the corner larger or smaller. Plus, you can right-click on any of the shapes to duplicate them. Once I was ready to cut out my shapes, I clicked on the Make button in the upper right-hand corner. Since I'm using the Cricut Smart Paper sticker cardstock, I didn't need to use a mat. Once the shapes were cut out, I placed the 2 circles back to back so that I would have a solid base for my leaves and flowers, and also a spot to write the yarn and hook size I used on the back. Next, I added the leaves and then flowers on top. Lastly, I punched a hole in the side so that I could thread this simple white ribbon to add it around Freda's neck. And what's so amazing is that Cricut is giving away one lucky winner a Cricut Maker 3. You heard that right. The giveaway will run through March 30th, 2024. That's when the giveaway will be closed and a winner will be chosen. To enter, you'll find a simple Google form in the description box where you can add in all of your information. And if you're chosen as the winner, you will receive an email from Cricut directly. You will not be notified in the comments section below, only by email. Good luck to everyone, and thank you so much to Cricut for sponsoring today's video. Another mistake that I see beginners make when they are embroidering the facial detail for their amigurumi toys is by choosing the wrong type of embroidery floss or yarn. For the Freda project, I decided to take the yarn art jeans that I used to make this project and I separated the plies. So I took one strand from the black yarn that I was using for the hair, and that's what I used to embroider the little eyebrows and around the eyes. But if you're using something like acrylic yarn or some type of very textured or fuzzy yarn, you'll want to use something like embroidery floss. You can even separate out the strands so that it's not super thick and you can get it looking very clean. Mistakes aren't just for beginners, and this next tip is something that I should have paid a lot more attention to when I was making Freda. And this tip is to focus on the face. If you can get the face right, the rest of the project is going to look amazing. Now, I'm going to bring Freda up close and personal and let me know if you can tell what mistake I made. Do you see her eyes? They're not even. When I was adding these eyes, I obviously wasn't focusing because they are not even. One is on this line and one is down below. I obviously did not double check when I went to put the backs on the eyes, and that is something that I should not have done. I should have double checked before I added those backs on, but I didn't. And I didn't even notice it right away. But the face is the money maker of amigurumi. And when you spend that extra time to make sure that the face is symmetrical, the embroidery is neat, and that you've added all of those little details, your project will really come alive. What I love about this project is that there are so many different details in this face. She's got the little eyebrows, and Freda was known for her iconic unibrow. And the thing that I like that the designer did was she could have just done one straight line all the way across, but I don't think that that would have looked quite as interesting as the way the designer did this. We have two longer eyebrows here, and then there are two little diagonal lines in the center that make it look like she has a unibrow, but I think it gives it a lot more visual interest. She's also got a little bit of embroidery right here on the side of her eyes. She even has a little nose, and one thing that you might not even notice is that she even has little freckle details right here. That just adds so much to the face. Even if you aren't noticing it right away, it does add to the whole look of the face. And finally, I added a little bit of pink to the cheeks, and I have a YouTube short if you would like to know how I do this, and I'll also link it in the description box below. But if I had added the eyes on correctly, this project would have been almost perfect. But it does lead me to the final and most detrimental mistake of all. When I noticed the mistake with the eyes, I thought that I had completely ruined the entire project. But it was too late to start over. I had already crocheted the body and the head. I just hadn't added on all of those other details. But once I noticed that I had placed the eyes at two different rounds, I was so disappointed, and it became so glaringly obvious that I couldn't believe that I had made such a silly mistake. And if I had been a beginner, I would have been tempted to completely abandon the project thinking that it wasn't salvageable. And even though I was feeling a lot of angst about the eyes, I knew that as an experienced amigurumi maker that I was likely not going to notice it much after I got the entire project done. And once I added the hair, the flowers, the facial details, and the little shawl, I barely could even tell that the eyes were incorrect. This is the biggest mistake that I see beginners make. They make a small mistake and they think the entire project is lost. When in actuality, once the project is completely finished, that mistake may be barely noticeable. Mistakes are going to happen. I know that I should double check every single time I'm about to put the backs onto a safety eye, and this time it just slipped my mind, and it's okay. She's still so beautiful, and I hope that the next time that you make a mistake, you will remember this and realize that the project project is not lost. One small mistake is not going to ruin the entire project. Little Freda and I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and make sure to click the link in the description box below to fill out the Google form to enter the giveaway for the Cricut Maker 3. I hope today's video inspired you to pick up your crochet hook and make something magical today. Stay safe and happy stitching.